Hello indie game fans, Stardew Valley is one of my absolute favourite indie games of all time since there's just something so soothing and calming about the simple farming life. So on this Farming Friday, let's take a look at some of the best upcoming farm games for fans of the genre. Let's begin with Spirits of the Island, a life sim title that adds in an element of tycoon games. It is set in a tropical paradise where you're doing your thing, growing crops, raising animals, and helping the locals, but where it gets interesting is that you're supposed to help turn this island into a prosperous tourist destination as well. This involves repairing facilities, building new attractions, hiring staff members and more, while trying to balance all of that with the harmony of nature. It was successfully funded on Kickstarter earlier this year and looks pretty promising, with a unique twist on the formula. Another title that I featured before is A New Leaf Memories, one that is fairly by the numbers in terms of mechanics, where you play as the stereotypical amnesiac protagonist, awakening in the new land and being assigned a plot of farmland to cultivate. It isn't super visually appealing in terms of the art style, where parts of this does look like modern Story of Seasons or Harvest Moon games, which is not a compliment since I don't really think the modern entries are very good. However, what it does have is some absolutely adorable animal designs and does look like a chill, pleasant time with an impressive home decoration aspect as well. As such, while nothing mind-blowing, it's a decent title that was another Kickstarter success with a planned launch early next year, so we should get to play soon. Speaking of Kickstarter, a title currently on there is Chef RPG, a pixel art title that sure looks like Stardew Valley, but where you play as a chef instead of a farmer. However, you do still need to forage and hunt animals for ingredients, combining this with a tycoon game with Diner Dash elements where you're running your own restaurant. There are over 200 recipes to collect and make, resulting in delectable looking pixel art food that just makes me hungry, with the expected seasons and day-night cycle affecting ingredient spawns and so on. Interestingly, this is set in a world that mixes Asian and Western influences with a dash of cyberpunk, so it's not your traditional low-tech farming game, making me very interested in this. And if you are as well, do hop on over to the Kickstarter campaign page to check out the backer rewards. A great-looking 3D title is the simply titled The Ranchers, one where you play as exactly that, running your own ranch as you raise animals, grow crops, build, expand, and decorate your home and so much more. Of course, the expected villager relationships and interactions are there as well, but it does also have an element of fantasy with dangerous mines to delve into. It does also support 4-player co-op, and based on my experience with Stardew multiplayer, should be a pretty good time. This is also a little bit on the modern, larger scale end of things, which is different as compared to the more intimate Stardew Valley, which of course makes this of interest.
Story again, please?
We are the children of Pacha. For years, we roamed her lands looking for food and shelter. But one day, the world changed forever. With the first snowflakes, we found a place to settle, the place that we now call home. Once spring came, we explored the wilderness. The seeds we found took root and flourished. The animals became our friends. Well, maybe not all of them. We discovered new ways to travel the lands and ventured deep to learn Pacha's secrets. The world turned into a canvas, and our hands the brush.
Another game that I've shown off before is Roots of Pacha, one that is set in the Stone Age, where you take your character and tribe on a journey of discovery. Interestingly, you do start off as hunter-gatherers rather than farmers per se, but the most interesting parts of this game is how knowledge is passed on. Indeed, you can tame and domesticate wild animals, experiment and find out which plants are poisonous through trial and error, as well as gradually tech up with new inventions and discoveries, where of course the pixel art is gorgeous as well.
Now we can look back at all we built and to all the moments that make this life special. We found friends, joy, and, of course, love.
I want to be a farmer. I want to help too.
There's still a road to be walked. And who knows, maybe with the efforts of everyone, piece by piece, we'll build something to stand for generations.
Speaking of pixel art, another beautiful title that I have my eye on is Moonstone Island, one that mixes quite a number of genres, so I'm not quite sure where to put it, having exploration and building like Terraria, farming like Stardew Valley, and strangely enough, deck building combat like Slay the Spire. But these are pretty much all games that I love, so of course I'm down for this. It is centered around alchemy and the ability to tame nature spirits, where I'm interested to see how growing plants fits into the overall structure and flow of this game. While there are many modern-day or fantasy settings for farming games, sci-fi is not as common, which is what makes One Lonely Outpost appeal to me. As in the title, you play as a colonist sent to establish a farming colony on an alien planet, having to construct buildings and facilities in order to provide food. As you build and expand, this attracts more NPCs, building out a community, where the interesting parts of this is that you can choose between natural produce or synthetically enhanced ones like robo-cows. Additionally, there does appear to be some exploration and combat elements in the alien ruins as well, so there certainly will be something of interest with this game. I think I managed to find a couple of new titles of interest, and it is always my pleasure to share them with you, where SunnySide is a modern-day entry with 3D visuals, which the developer describes as having a touch of Persona as well. It is set in a Japanese countryside. We're trying to find some sort of balance between traditional practices and modern alternatives, but does still have you building out your homestead, growing crops and raising animals. This is a Kickstarter title that came to us from a developer from, I believe, the UK, where the footage here looks remarkably different from its original review, for the better in my opinion, and does look like a rather cozy game. Let's kick off the top 5 with Everdream Valley, a wonderful little title where you play as a little child helping out at your grandparents' farm during the summer holidays. I think that the childlike wonder with the world is something that everyone needs, and this game certainly looks to be giving us that, especially with the animation of the character. It is just so adorable, and does look to have some pretty decent farming, crafting and animal raising elements as well. The 3D visuals are gorgeous and very well done in relation to the size of the main character, making this another chill game to look forward to. Me being me, of course I'm looking forward to the pixel art entry Research Story, a farming sim title that has you managing and expanding a farm, but does also have you taming wild animals and cataloging all of your research. As such, this looks like the museum system in games like Animal Crossing taken to the next level, and if you're like me and enjoy compulsively filling these up, this will be a title of interest as well. The simple chibi pixel art does remind me of Little Word, although I'm not as sold on the character portraits, but a great looking farming game with a twist which makes it of interest. Just a quick trailer for Snackle, an adorable farming game where you play as a cat, being a title that I've covered multiple times and is a no-brainer. It is fairly by the numbers as well, but you play as a cat, so probably enough said already. I've also covered Dinkum before, which got my attention not only due to its unique name, but because it is set in the Australian outback, where I'm fairly certain that no other farming game has done that before. As a result, you have a variety of native animals to contend with, including kangaroos, wombats, and crocodiles, allowing you to grow crops as well as the expected woodcutting, mining, fishing, bug catching, and crafting elements. Like a couple of games on this list, building out your settlement will attract NPCs to come and live here, adding in that Animal Crossing element, but for how unique the setting is, of course this gets a spot. And of course, we go back to a very classically designed but well-made entry in Coral Island, one with an ecological message as you have to clean up the coral reefs and underwater pollution. This game had an amazing Kickstarter campaign, raising over 23 times its initial goal, and I'm proud to say that this comes to us from a developer based out of Yogyakarta, Indonesia, so Southeast Asia represents. As expected, you have a farm to run, can befriend and romance the villagers, go fishing, and even has a dungeon crawling combat element, so nothing too crazy or innovative, but it simply looks well done. The underwater exploration part is new, where there are even mermaids in the water, adding a mystical twist, but for how cozy and great this looks, it takes the #1 spot. For more cozy games, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.